Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. Perhaps the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world. Welcome to the Ask Denis episode for this week. Great to have you with us, and let's go through today's topic. Today's topic is going to be how to stay focused on your goals. Now, the Ask Denis Freestyle episode is an episode that happens once a week, and it's based on questions that I'm asked by our listeners or through the experience and the thoughts and the observation that I've had over the years in working with leaders around the globe. So today, we're going to be talking about that topic of how to stay focused on your goals. Here's something that I'd love you to do. As a listener, if you're really enjoying these episodes that you're getting from this podcast, Leadership is Changing, we would love you to go to Apple, into the actual app for podcasts, and find this podcast and put a rating. There is a 5 stars that they have there. So if it's a 5, hit the 5 stars and also leave a written review. If you can do that, what that's going to do for us or the actual podcast, it's actually going to raise the visibility of the podcast around the globe and will attract more listeners and will be able to impact many more leaders and helping them and their voice being heard and then developing their skills and capabilities. You see, I'm hearing from people, the listeners, that there is one thing they've picked up or there's several things they've picked up and they're trying themselves as leaders. They're putting it into place. So it's not just to be entertained, but they're actually taking some of the learnings in these actual episodes, whether it be an interview or the Ask Denis episodes, and implementing them into their life, into their businesses, and that's impacting their team, their organizations, their customers, and of course, their businesses. So we would love you to do that. So that's on Apple, and on Spotify, they've just released recently the ability to put a rating on Spotify. So you go into the podcast itself, this one, and you'll be able to find where you can put a rating as well. So we'd love you to do that and appreciate that. And thanks in advance for doing it. It really, really does help the actual visibility and impact of the podcast. Okay, let's get into today's topic. Today's topic, of course, is how to stay focused on your goals. Now, you know what? The thing here is that we're now 1 month into the brand new year. 1 month. It has gone so fast. Just imagine very soon we're going to be talking about the end of year. So month 1, almost done. In fact, it will be done very soon. And how are you going along this year so far? What's happening for you? Is it going well? What are you learning? What are you doing? How are your goals coming along so far? For a lot of people, that there is this time of year is the important part. It's like a turning of the page, a new leaf. It's a new start for a lot of people. But for some people, their goals are continuing from last year. Why? Because they really are onto projects, initiatives, some things that they're wanting to get done. And so they're already just going to continue doing that. For some of you, you're setting brand new goals. But whether you've already got a goal that's continuing to go forward or it's a brand new goal, there's a lot of noise out there in the market, in life in general. This noise tends to be getting louder and louder every year. This noise is things like a brand new shiny thing that comes out, gets released, a new product, a new iPhone, a new kind of computer, a new kind of car, There's new things that are being released all the time. And those shiny things can be quite distracting for people. Quite distracting in the way that it actually can take your attention, your focus away from what you should be doing to go and play with these things, do things with it, and so forth. The thing here about being distracted is that the next thing you realize is that time has moved on and you go, whoa, what happened there? There's also this other thing out there today that was like fear. Fear has been, a lot of people are living in fear at the moment with the last 2 years around pandemics, but it's not just the pandemic from a health perspective. There's the mental health side of things as well. There are people who are in businesses today who are losing their businesses. There are people who have jobs today that are losing their jobs. And then there's others who are saying, you know what, I don't want to hang around here anymore. I don't want to be in the corporate world or in the business world. I'm going to go and do something totally different. Then there's others who are like, I don't want to be an employee anymore. I want to have more control in my life. I want to go and start a business. And so they're starting these businesses and they're getting underway. And some of them are doing really well already. And they've only just started not so long ago. The thing here for all of us is that there's always going to be this fear. Now, I've talked about before that fear, F-E-A-R, stands for false evidence appearing real. Now, for a lot of us, we have things going on in our mind, or we might listen to the media, or we might listen to other people, and depending on what they're saying, that actually can trigger us, and we can go into a fear state. And when you go into a fear state, your breathing becomes shallow. It's in the fight-flight mode, and it's quite interesting to see what happens here. So if you're being distracted at the moment, whether it be from fear, the next shiny thing, or just the noise out there, then think about this, that even with your goals, if you don't focus on them, the next thing you'll know will be February, March, and next minute you'll be going, whoa, Q1, the first quarter of the year is already done, and I haven't even set my goals. There'll be others who'll be going, Q1's already done, and actually haven't achieved anything either because I've been distracted. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be things in life that are going to be coming at you like curveballs and that will be thrown at all of us. But the thing is how we actually are able to cope with that and then actually able to move forward at the same time. Devices is one thing I talked about, like if there's a brand new tool or computer or something that comes up, a brand new app, they're all wonderful tools, but they also can be a waste of time in the sense that they take your focus away from what I was just talking about before, right? And it's really quite interesting. So what do I do to try and keep myself focused? And I'm not even going to use that word try. What do I use to keep me focused? What do I do to help my clients stay focused? And it's this one question that I ask myself all the time. Is what I'm doing right now helping me get closer to my goal? Whatever I'm doing right now, is it helping me get closer to my goal? And if it's not a resounding yes, then stop doing what you're doing. Stop it, because that thing that you may be doing right there and then is not actually helping or contributing towards the goal. Now, we've heard stories of rowing teams before. We've heard stories of America's Cup yachting. They have this kind of mantra that says, does it make the boat go faster? In other words, what they're doing right there and then, does it make the boat go faster? And that kind of focus is focusing on the bigger picture, focusing on the bigger goal of where you want to go, what you're wanting to do. So I'm going to encourage you to think about that question. Is what I'm doing right now helping me get closer to my goal? You may even want to try and crystallize that and make it even more succinct, like the things like, does it make the boat go faster? You see, the thing here is this. If you can keep yourself in a growth mindset, because there's the fixed mindset and then there's the growth mindset. If you can help yourself stay in that growth mindset, that's going to help you big time. How can you do that? Well, the use of podcasts as an example, books, audiobooks, and YouTube. There will be things that you can read, listen to, watch that are going to actually help you stay in that positive mode. You see, if you keep asking yourself that question, that will actually help you understand the ability to say no to people without saying no. In other words, if you stay in a growth mindset and you ask yourself that question, is what I'm doing right now helping me get closer to my goal? That is actually going to help you understand your boundaries, understand by saying no to people without saying no, or you just say no. Why? Because you're very, very clear, like laser focused on where you're going. You understand, it's very crisp, it's very succinct, it's spot on, and I know where I'm going in life, and I know where I'm going in my goals. Too many times I see people get tripped up. Too many times I see people get swayed away from things when they should be focusing on it. And they're so close to getting things done, so close to actually achieving some things, that if they just keep going a little bit longer, where would they go? I remember that times whereby I've actually thought about it. It's, we talk about the end of a month, right? People in sales and people getting goals. And we're at day 23 of the 30 days of the month, or 31, depending on how long it is. And people are like, a week to go. Doesn't look good. But I know it's not over till it's over, right? You're going to keep going all the way right through. Keep pushing. Stay focused and keep asking yourself, what am I doing right now helping me get closer to my goal? One way, as I said before, is podcasts. Thanks for listening to these podcasts. This podcast is available and is helping people right around the world. The feedback we're getting from people and what it's doing for them has been immense. We are seeing people go to new levels in their roles. We've seen them go to new levels in their performance in organizations, and we've seen them going off and starting new businesses. There are people who are messaging me around the world, and I'm very grateful for it, and I thank you for it, whereby they're sending me messages saying, hey, I'm out for a walk and I'm listening to your podcast and I'm based in Spain. Or, hey, I'm actually at the gym today, I'm exercising, listen to the podcast, and I love what so-and-so shared. Or I love what you shared, Denis, in the Ask Denis Freestyle episode, and so forth, right? So team, stay laser focused. Stay focused on where you're going. Make sure you cut the noise out and stay focused on that goal that you're wanting to achieve. Ask yourself that question that I've shared already with you, and then you'll be in a good spot to move forward. Listeners, we would love you to go ahead and put a rating on this podcast and a review on Apple and on Spotify, a rating. Go ahead and do that. We would love to see your comments coming through. Hey, listeners, what we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown and unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Look out for the episodes as they're being released. Download them, have a listen, put a review and a rating. Feel free to share them with your friends, your family, and your network. Hey, if there's any feedback you'd like to give me about the show, or if there's a question you have for the Ask Denis Freestyle episode, then send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Hey, listeners, it's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.